Hey, this is Gerd Handel, and welcome to the Inner Light Project. This show is for anyone who's wanting to lead a happier, healthier, and enlightened life. Create more self-love, inject more joy and abundance into their daily life. Join me for inspiring interviews and spiritual topics so you can shine your inner light. Hello and welcome to a special episode of the Inner Light Project. My name is Gerd Handel and today I have two beautiful souls with me who are helping people to shine their inner light from within. Heather Askinosi and Timmy Jandro are the co-founders of Muse, where they help to educate and inspire people about the ancient wisdom and healing properties of crystals. They provide tools of empowerment, inspiration and hope in a tangible form of jewellery and crystals. And they believe that we can all embrace ourselves from the inside out. Heather and Timmy, it's an absolute pleasure having you on the show again, and thank you for joining us in the space today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks, Gerd.
Oh, thank you both. Well, last time we spoke about both of your journeys and your journeys with crystals. This time I'd love to talk about love and how we can apply crystals in our daily life to increase our, whether that's love within ourselves or love within our relationships, or if we're trying to conceive a child.
We'd love to.
Yeah, that sounds like a great topic.
Thank you, guys. So I just wanted to talk more about, say, somebody who's out there who's looking for Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. What kind of tools and techniques could they use to attract love into their life?
Well, you know what we've always found to be true is when you're trying to bring in love from someone else, the number one thing is obviously to learn to love yourself. And so a lot of people have to start there, which I know that was something I had to do because I was always searching for what I thought was going to bring me happiness. Mm-hmm. But happiness is really an inside job, right? And so I look at it now like the person that you might fall in love with or want to be with as your love partner can enhance your happiness, but they're never going to make you happy. So I really love to focus personally with rose quartz. Mm. Having that in my room, in my bedroom. I wear it on my wrist every single day. There's a bracelet that our company Muse makes. It's called Unconditional Love. And it's a reminder for me to look down and touch that and just remember to love myself, because when I'm in love with myself and respect myself, I can let love shine outward. And it's funny because I just read this quote from Oscar Wilde, something to the effect like falling in love with yourself is a long living affair. You know, like you are always going to need to be in love with yourself and fall in love with yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I guess there's that saying as well, isn't it, that you've got to love yourself first before you can love another soul, really?
Absolutely.
Mm. So, we have rose quartz. What else, what other crystal could you use to bring in that love?
I think what's something interesting is that, in life, from whether when we're little kids to as we mature and grow up, it's sometimes the things that hurt us or the traumas or the pain that maybe is accumulated through the years that we think we have healed from or let go, that sometimes doesn't allow us to fully embrace the energy of love, whether with another or with ourselves. So it's interesting because sometimes when you think of love, you always maybe think of the pink stones because obviously they look like love. Mm-hmm. But I almost kind of like to bring in the rhodonite because you've got this pink, but you've also have a little bit of black in it. And I love that stone in the way that sometimes through our darkness or our shadows or our hurts and our pains, that's where we really learn to be vulnerable. That's when we learn to heal our shattered selves, where we're able to go through the darkness in our heart to help to heal. So sometimes the dark stones, or the ones that have some dark colors in them, help us get to the points that really help us get to that level of love. Mm. And, rhodochrosite is another one. Although it doesn't have the dark stones, I love dark colors. I love how it is striated and how it has all these lines and dimensions in it with the pink and the white. And it reminds us that there's many layers to this conversation. And one formula might not fit all, but the biggest gift that we could give ourselves is for us to walk down that path and the journey of healing, because love is obviously where we're all trying to walk to, right? And be in that space.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because it's interesting because like a lot of people do say, if you're looking for love, here's the rose quartz.
Yes, and I think it's a great one as a starting point because it's very unconditional, and sometimes we need to start there. But just from so many women and working with so many women over the years, and just especially so many women that have done our love ritual that's in our book. And we recently interviewed a woman the other day, and she did our love ritual. And, usually people are like, hey, when I'm done with the love ritual, I hopefully will have met someone significant. And her breakthrough was that she did. She met someone significant. She met herself for the first time in her life, where she realized through that love ritual that she realized that she needed to give herself time. And then she realized what she really wanted versus kind of going through the motions of what she thought she should do or how she was brought up as to what she should be like. It was the first time she stopped long enough to say, what is it that I want? And she said that breakthrough changed her perspective more than anything that she'd ever done, that helped her see love, not through another person, but to see love through herself. And that's was huge.
Yeah, that is really huge. Because too often, we hear people saying that they need somebody to kind of fulfill that missing half, or they call it the other half, when really we need to kind of have that love for ourselves unconditionally in order to attract, not even if it's a relationship, but just whatever we want to achieve in our life, really.
Wow. Well, and I think it's so cool because the 40-day love ritual is, you really have to be committed to doing it. There's a lot of aspects to that ritual. But so many people are like, oh, I really want to find love, although they don't want to commit to the ritual. And we're thinking, if you can't just commit to that for yourself, then what can you commit to? Because if you want to make a change, you've got to make a commitment to yourself. And just like the woman Heather was talking about, she did, and she had a breakthrough.
Well, one thing that she said, because obviously I interviewed for her for an hour because I just wanted just this authentic, pure experience. And I was trying to extract as much info from her. And what she said, her biggest takeaway from this ritual was that you have to be ready. Because she said that, she had wanted to do it and she didn't do it. And only when she was ready, and not ready to, ready on one aspect to make the commitment, but ready to open herself up to that conversation. So she said, don't do this ritual unless you're ready, because I think that was a big, big component, because you're right. It takes time. It takes a commitment, and it's going to open one up to these conversations that sometimes we lay dormant inside of us, or sometimes we act like don't exist. And this ritual is designed to help you go in there and forgive and to heal and to release and let go of those dark clouds and clogs within our energy field, to help us let the light in and let the love in.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Wow. I'm lost for words again. Say if somebody is heartbroken and they've just broken up in a relationship, what kind of crystals could they use to help mend a broken heart?
Well, I think what Heather was saying earlier too, sometimes we think about the pinks as being that loving stone that we should have around when we're going through something like that. But some of the black stones, like the rainbow obsidian, we have one that's shaped in the shape of a heart, and it actually comes out that way with these striations, these rainbow striations within the crystal that look like a heart. And by placing that on your heart, it's almost like you're letting all of that negativity be put into the energy of that stone to be released. And some of these rituals can be so easy. Let's just say you're going to bed at night. Place that crystal on your heart and just lay there. You might even fall asleep with it on your heart. Let it absorb the energies that you are trying to release, and remind yourself that it is okay to let go.
And, once again, another layer that I find is profound. And I actually even think it should be done on a daily, if not weekly basis. We have a ritual in our book called Cutting the Cords. And when one is healing from a broken heart, we got to cut the cords. And it's not that and it's interesting, what I find with women is that some women will be like, I'm brokenhearted. I can't get over this guy. And I said, well, are you willing to cut the cords? And not that you're cutting the cords, they'll never be in your life. You're cutting the cords. You're sending light back to them. You're sending their energy back to them. And you're holding your energy for your own self. So you have your own boundaries. And what's interesting is women are like, I'm grieving. I can't get over them. But no, I don't want to cut the cords yet. And so, but you know what? I love that. At least it's honest.
Yeah.
But the thing what is great with that conversation is that then you're basically saying that you still want to be in pain. You're not ready to heal, because cutting the cords and using a black kyanite, using your hand, using whatever you want, but you energetically cutting the cord with the person that you want to release, heal, toxic relationship, whatever it is, cutting the cord and saying, I'm going to send this energy back to you. Because what happens in relationships is that it takes two people to engage. It's like a chain. It's like a linked chain. But when one person cuts off and says, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to forgive me. I'm going to look at this as a life lesson where maybe in this lifetime, you are here to teach me self-worth. I forgive you. I let you go. I feel my energy where the space that you held within me is light and love, and I forgive you and let you go. That right there starts the healing process. That can be done with the darker stones. But once again, it's not the crystal doing the work. It's the human being saying, you know what? I am ready. I have a tool of crystals to help me on this journey. I'm going to cut the cords. I'm going to cut my end of the link, the chain link that I once held. And I'm going to own my power, and I'm going to send you love, and I'm going to send you light, and I'm going to do the same for myself. And what I do is now I have my own boundaries and I have my own space, because sometimes when we're linked to somebody else, we cannot heal because we're not even in our own energy field. We're still holding on to that toxicity or the sadness or the grief or the pain. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought that up, because when I've talked to people about this in the past, like about energy, like some people, like you said, they're right, they're happy, they're ready to like cut the cords and everything. But with some, they feel guilty, like saying, but I don't want to cut off that energy from them. And it's like, well, you're not really cutting off that energy from them. You're bringing your energy back to you that you've given to them in a way.
Yeah. Once again, what does all this come from? It comes from our perspectives. It comes from how we were brought up. It comes from our ancestry. How we see a situation is how we've seen life in the past and what we were taught. So with these tools, with these new opportunities of growth, it's really changing that mindset that you're right, exactly what you just said. You're not, this person will obviously always be in your life. You shared space and time with them. It's just a matter of you owning your own space, your own boundary, and allowing forgiveness to hold that space instead of anger, pain, fear, anxiety. It's just changing one thing for the other.
Yeah, and it's like same kind of like with friendships. Like in the past, like I went through my own journey back in 2012, and like as you guys know, like when you're shifting, your energy changes, and then your circle changes in a way if you're not on the same vibration at that time. And I felt so guilty, like saying bye to a few people, and like what you just said, you feel guilty and you have that anger and how someone's treated you, but in the end, you've got to bring your power back. So I'm glad that I don't know if that made sense.
No, it did.
Does.
Yeah,
We get it.
aho, as they say in the Native American. Aho, yeah, agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, we're at that time in the evolution of consciousness right now where I really kind of think it's cool for women. I have a little girl, and we had an interesting conversation last night. But I think right now, the more we as women take our power back, not in like we are women, we will roar, but we are women, we are empowered.
Yeah.
And we are here through our own personal strength to also lift other women up, compliment them, remind them of their magnificence so that we all raise together. I feel like we need to shift this thing of like, hey, I'm good. And then, you're not good. Or, hey, I've got this going, where let's be that change, and let's shift that modality, and let's help others remember their magnificence and compliment women and bring them up and remind them of we as the feminine essence on this planet. We're here to nurture. We're here to be kind. We're here to be compassionate. And that's how we should lead.
Absolutely. And it all links back to love. Like, there's so much room for love for everybody. Why not share?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's been hard though too, because we've been brought up maybe in Heather and I's generation that, there was such a competitive nature that was put in between women. Like, you've got to look a certain way, you've got to perform a certain way. There's room for everyone to have their space and to be, like Heather said, magnificent. And I think because of, I don't have a little girl, I have two boys, but I love seeing how Heather's little girl is growing up, and there's still the same pressures of that competition. But I think by, our parents weren't saying love one another. Like, you don't have to compete with one another. There's space for all of you, and share that and be compassionate. And it's hard. It's very hard to grow up as a little girl now, I think. Oh,
absolutely. With like social media and even like the news industry as well, and like the fashion world, like it's, yeah, you're right. For even myself, actually growing up back when the internet was just about coming in, you had the magazines and everything. But even in my own personal journey of being a journalist a few years ago, it was always about women competing with each other. It was never about working together. It was quite bizarre looking back, when now it's a different energy. Like, now I love helping other women grow. I love seeing other women grow, and it's so beautiful to see. And I wish that we were raised like you guys said, like that, to see that, because we could do so many different things in the world if we'd known that from a younger age.
Yeah, united, we can do a lot more.
Yeah. Something just came to me. I just wanted to ask you guys, this is a bit random, but say you're getting married and there's an energy in that room. Are there any crystals that you can use to kind of keep that energy kind of highly vibrated throughout the whole day?
Well, okay, so being, my background, this is Heather's in feng shui. So it was an interesting journey for me finding out I was going to get married in, just because I could feel energies in the room, and that was a big part of it. So okay. I definitely think when you're looking for a location to get married in, that it's really important to sometimes in some of the ballrooms or things like that, some of them have windows and some of them don't. Some of them are, walls. And so I think it's important, if you can beforehand. I know you can't sage or go in a lot of these hotels if someone is, but you can go in there with bells and with sound. And if you are on this kind of energetic vibrational track, you could even have, if you have music in there before, or go in there with like some kind of CD player or some kind of sound and ring the bells, or ring some, put on chants that play for 11 minutes. That's Om, and, that kind of sound. But if you can, I always think, getting some black tourmaline, that 4 of them or 5 or however many corners are in a room, and make sure that you program them before, so that anything, and hold them in your hand and put the black tourmaline in your hand and say, I program these crystals to absorb any unwanted energy, anything that was in this space that no longer should be in the space, holding, absorb anything that is no longer serving. And then you definitely want to put those in the four corners. Now, once again, when I got married, I had crystals and I had different flowers on my table that represented everything. I mean, mine was symbolically tricked out, but what I would do is, if you can, on maybe the main table or on a couple tables, also bring in some selenite or some quartz crystals, or even those love crystals. And then once again, programming them. Crystals, these crystals, I'd like you to hold the intention to have this space be filled with love and harmony, great conversation, enjoyment, joy. May this room be filled. And so that the crystals are programmed with that energy. So you have the ones in the corner to absorb, and then you have ones in the center that activate and emit. So you have both dualities going on.
I love that. Because I've always found it intriguing. Like when you're at a wedding, there's a lot of energy going around. There's lots of there's obviously two families coming together and all that kind of energy.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like thinking, how can you keep it calm? Where you feel like you're grounded throughout the whole day and not feeling up and down like a yo-yo. I wanted to ask you guys, it's going off topic a little bit, but say they want to conceive, what kind of crystals could help them?
Well, so interesting enough, both Heather and I had moonstone on our bodies, or like Heather, her mother had infused her whole wedding dress with moonstone. And so little did she know that she was going to be getting pregnant on her wedding day. But moonstone is known as the fertility stone. And, I was really fortunate with both of my pregnancies. I actually wore a moonstone in my bra with the intention I held to become pregnant, and I got pregnant right away.
Wow. And
Heather also did on her first pregnancy. Like I said, her wedding dress was infused with the moonstone. So they're definitely, the moonstone is a stone that's milky white. It's connected to the moon, to a woman's cycles. And so it's been one of the really good stones that people have had great results by having it on their body when trying to get pregnant.
Wow. Your mom's so cheeky.
Well, yeah, my mom was like, okay, I want a grandbaby, and I'm going to take some things into my own hands. So my mom used to be a clothing designer. She would design this. So when I should have known something was up, when she's like, hey, you know what? Why don't you let me design your wedding dress? And I'm like, oh my God, Mom, that's amazing. And then I was like, why is it taking her so long? Because she hand did all these beads on my dress. So yeah, it was done for me. Now, the thing is, I didn't get pregnant so easily the second time around. I had a miscarriage in between that literally devastated me. And, it was a very hard time. There's a chapter in our book called Baby Makes Three. And it definitely talks about the stones and crystals to use, when you're healing. If there's a lot of people that have had miscarriages. And what I found for me personally, I don't know if you found this at all, but it's just kind of one of these topics that not like women, there was a lot of shame around it for me. Like, oh my God, I couldn't carry a baby. What did I do wrong? All these things where I didn't really talk about a lot of people because I was shameful. But finally, after I broke open, I realized that there was a lot of other women who had gone through the same experience, but it's not like they were running through the streets talking about it. You know what I mean?
But I always find it so interesting, like in conversation, people will just say, I had a miscarriage. And knowing what Heather went through, it was such an emotional and traumatic time. I mean, I haven't been through one, but I've been through it with her. And I try to open up the door to see if they want to talk about it, because again, I don't know that a lot of people are open to talking about it. And it's something that you can carry along with you for a long time if you don't let it go.
Yeah. And I totally understand where you guys are coming from, because I can't explain it. Within the Indian culture, like, I haven't personally seen it myself, but like growing up, if somebody did have a miscarriage, or an auntie or a cousin, it was almost like the woman was blamed for it. like they had done something, or maybe it was their genes. And I used to think that was really cruel. And why would somebody say that? Like, there's always something behind everything. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
and you're right that people don't talk about it. It's kind of somebody says that, and then everybody goes quiet, don't they? And,
It's almost taboo or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like, it's almost like with mind health as well. It's kind of similar, that people will hear it, but they won't say anything else. It's kind of like, oh, we better not say anything just in case that might offend somebody, or
right. Yeah.
But it is interesting to know about what kind of tools you can use. So if you are going through a miscarriage, what kind of crystals you can use. Could you maybe recommend one for somebody out there who might be going through this right now?
You know, what happened for me is I spiraled into this downward darkness, and it was a mess. I was a mess. And what I ended up doing is I did a lot of yoga, because for me, I needed the physical. I had to burn off my shame. I just sweat it out. I had to sweat my grief out. And I remember what I did is there was one day that, you know, basically my mom's like, Heather, you gotta start living again. And I looked over and I saw this orange carnelian. And orange is kind of symbolic of it's happiness, and it's about getting your passion back, and it's about like healing that second chakra. It's about joy. And I remember I picked that crystal up and I carried it with me. I took it to yoga class. I put it on my mat. Wherever I went, I had that with me. And it was a very symbolic reminder. I would at nighttime put it over my second chakra. It allowed me to remember where I wanted to go again. Now, I'm not saying that for me with crystals, I like to use them, and everyone has their different ways, but I'm using them as a tool of helping me get through what I need to get through so that I could go to where I want to go. And that crystal was an ally for me, because it showed me on a daily basis where I had to get my joy back. I had to get my hope back. I had to become happy again, because I had learned to be in my grief for such a long time. Like at some point, there's a point where you have to like go, okay, we got to move on now. You know, I sat in it for quite a while, and I really do. And I look back on that period, and without the good friends, and without my family, and without all the amazing other things I was doing and the people that helped me, that crystal helped me a lot. And it was my touchstone, and it was what kept me moving forward in many ways, because I could look at it and knew that that's what I could be.
Would you say that the crystal almost reminded you of, how can I put it? That this is your higher light, and this is who you wanted to come back to?
And that's what I love about crystals, because they hold the space when sometimes we can't hold it for ourselves. And that's why I love when we program them, because when we program them from our highest frequency, from our highest words, from our highest light, then when we're not in that space, because sometimes in life we don't get to that space, then when we hold it, we're like, this is what I want to be. This is holding the space when I can't remember to hold it for myself.
Like you always say, it's your touchstone.
Yeah.
Thank you both of you for sharing that, because it's so important for other people out there to know about this and what they can do to kind of get back to that higher vibration that they are. So, sorry.
Well, the thing that's good about the story is that 6 years later, after I got pregnant on my wedding night, I went through all this stuff. My husband and I went to Esalen, which is a place in California. And literally after that trip, I came back and we both agreed. The whole story's in the book, it's a cool one, how we went to this forest and how we prayed in the redwoods and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, we came back from that trip. I said, we're going to sell all of the baby stuff we've had in this storage unit. This is not God's plan. I'm okay. I love you. We're okay. We have a healthy boy. We're so blessed, blah, 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 blah. A week later, I found out I was pregnant. So I ended up having a little girl, but the journey was not every story ends like that, but I feel like had I not gone through that darkness, had I not gone through that just complete surrender, I don't know if I would have been able to have a baby again, but I did. So it was a long journey. What I guess I'm trying to say is it didn't happen overnight, but it did happen.
Yeah, thank you seriously for sharing that. If I could give you a big hug. I'll just give you a virtual one.
I take it. I take
an energetic hug.
Yeah, group hug. Yeah, if anybody wants to know more about this, do check out the Crystal Muse book, because there is so much information in there. I personally read your story there, and it really brought a tear to my eye, just how powerful like crystals can be when you're going through a journey in your life. And there's lots of other things in there as well, like I wanted to talk to you guys a bit about sleeping as well, because there's a lot of people I know who, especially in bigger cities, they struggle with sleeping because like they're either struggling with insomnia or it's actually stuff in their rooms that they don't know about.
Kind of back on the baby subject, after I had kids, it really messed up my whole sleeping cycle. I could not sleep at all. I felt like a walking zombie. I remember going to my doctor going, I'm so exhausted. And she would say, that's just normal. You just had a baby. But there was an exhaustion that was so deep in my bones. Like I was almost near not being able to function. But what we found are some really great tools like selenite, which is something that helped get me back on a sleeping cycle. I literally not only wear it around my neck every single day just to kind of keep that liquid light energy around me, but I will keep a piece of selenite in. I wear an exercise bra. So literally, if you can imagine a wand of the white selenite, probably about 8 inches long, I just put it right on my chest and it lays there with me all night long. Sometimes it will fall out. But, some people might feel more comfortable putting it under their pillow or placing it by their bedside. But I have found that has been an amazing tool to help me continue to get good sleep. But we also came up with this really cool eye pillow. And it's a lavender colored satin pillowcase. And it's just one of those little eye pillows, and it's filled up with lavender, amethyst, and selenite. So I will wear that on over my eyes because I do like things dark to get a good night's sleep. So not only is it on my body, but it's on my face with the selenite pillow. Oh, it's like dreamland. I love it.
I love that. Yeah, selenite. Oh wow. Since I read the book, I bought selenite for the house, and I've had it at the front of the house, on the side, and in the bedroom. And wow, that is a powerful crystal.
Well, are you sleeping better?
Best sleep I've had in years. It's like when I was a kid again, when we didn't have any technology in the rooms or, any devices, like even like mirrors, like you guys wrote about in the book as well, which I'll get you guys to explain, like that itself, like not having any of that in the room. Wow. I feel like I'm a 5-year-old again.
Well, Heather, because she was studying feng shui over 25 years ago, I would be her guinea pig. So I was married at the time, and my husband and I had a television in our bedroom. And the electromagnetics from that television probably didn't help us get good night's sleep at all, because once we took it out, we did sleep a lot better. And I have not had a television in my room for probably over 20 years. I mean, that was like something that Heather really ingrained, and it's been very helpful.
Yeah, it's quite toxic. Like when I used to live in the city and having the TV in my bedroom, my gosh, you kind of get almost addicted just to watching TV, just it being there. So I guess it's like that out of sight, out of mind thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah, the bedroom really is a time for rest. It's not a time to be active with watching television, or some people will have their offices in their bedroom, and that just makes you think, oh, I could be working. I should be working. But no, the bedroom is a time for you to rest. And that's why 1/3 of our life is spent resting, because our bodies need it.
Yeah. Could you guys tell us about the mirror, like in the room, and how that can affect our sleeping pattern as well?
Well, okay, so another thing, just to circle back a little bit, what I have found, and you probably would be like, wow, I wouldn't expect to hear this on a podcast about crystals, but I think if you're having problems sleeping, I think if you have a lot of crystals in your room, you need to take them all out except maybe selenite or one, because crystals are amplifiers and they energize. And so I have found, because I used to have a lot of crystals in my room, and even a lot of just rose quartz and what. But I really have found that sometimes with this stuff is that more is not always a good thing. And if you are having insomnia issues, taking all the crystals out of the bedroom and maybe just having one, like Timmy mentioned, the selenite, which is an amazing sleep aid, or an eye pillow. But try taking everything out of the room and see if that makes a difference. Number two, in regards to the television set, a lot of people are like, you know what? I live in a studio. That's not going to happen. Well, you know what you could do right before you go to bed, if you do need to have a TV in your room, put a sheet over it, put something over it so that it's kind of like that reflective screen is closed off. You'll feel it immediately. So even if you don't believe in any of this stuff, try it and see. But in regards to mirrors in the bedroom, it has been said that the soul at nighttime leaves the body and goes traveling. And what happens is that when the soul leaves the body and sees itself in the mirror, it gets scared. And that is why people have nightmares, because it startles it. And so another thing is that if you think about energy, it's invisible, it's moving, but mirrors, it'll bing back and forth on a mirror. So a mirror, the energy is going to, have whatever hits it, it's going to go back and forth and bing, bing, bing against the wall. So it makes the room very active. So I know here in California, a lot of rooms have mirrors in it. It's just how they were designed. So what we say is ideally keep the mirrors, because that could be very expensive to change out that. And especially if you're renting or leasing a home, you can't go and do that. But what you could do is put a curtain rod over it and get some long curtains, so that at nighttime, you just close the curtains. And in the day, if you want to open the curtains to get in and out of the closet, you can. So it's a very doesn't take a lot of money to remedy that, but it makes a big difference. And if there's the end of the day, and this isn't crystal related, but if you're on your phone with that blue light before you go to bed, it's not that our phones are designed to make us addicted. They're not designed to soothe us. That's just not the mechanism of all these apps and whatnot. So for people having insomnia, maybe say 8:00, I'm going to keep my phone in the other room, or I'm going to turn it off, or just have my alarm for the morning and read. The thing is, if you have insomnia, there are certain things you just have to do that might not be as fun, but you have to try it, because how valuable is a good night's sleep?
I guess it's like discipline for anything. It
is. And so it goes back to that whole thing. Hey, you want to get over a relationship? Well, you have to cut the cord. Okay. If you want to get a good night's sleep, get off your phone and get EMFs. Look at your lighting. There's so many different, but in all honesty, I don't think if somebody has insomnia, putting a crystal in their room is going to change everything. I think it could help. I think the selenite's definitely going to help, but there's other layers that are so vitally important to a good night's sleep, environmentally.
Yeah. It was interesting that you said about the television, because it reminded me, I don't know if you guys had this as well, growing up, when your grandmother or your auntie used to put a sheet over the TV when you were a kid.
Yes.
Yeah, they knew. They got it.
Yeah. I'm thinking my grandma knew this.
Well, whenever we travel, we do the same thing, because there's a television in the room. What can you do? It's there. So you're right. Put a sheet or a towel over it.
It's some of the things that when you look back at our grandparents and our ancestors, the things that they did make sense now. But back when we were kids, it was kind of like, well, why did they do that? Well, what is this weird thing?
They were so smart.
Well, they were also more connected to the natural rhythms, right? Which is what we need to relearn.
That is so true. Yeah, because they didn't have the technology devices like we have now, did they? They were always, if they were tired, they'd go and sleep. If they were...
Exactly.
Yeah.
They listened to their body, which is why people don't have insomnia. Because if you get to bed too late, if you get to bed after 10, your biorhythm gets off. So if you have insomnia, either whether you're going to bed or not, try to just get into bed before that 10 o'clock and see if that shifts your biorhythms.
It's almost like you get a second
you're just
wave of energy.
Yeah, you're biohacking your body. You know what I mean? You need to do those hacks.
Yeah, that's thank you. That's really interesting. Yeah. Wow. My dear, we are coming towards the end of the show. It's gone really quick. I've got 3 more questions left to ask you guys. Since it's 2018, it's the year of the 11th. What are your 5 top tips for someone who's trying to remove negative energy from your life? I know you guys already talked about kyanite, cutting the cords, but what else could they do?
Well, I mean, I think with anything, if you've got the will and you really want to get to it, you've got to have the commitment factor and the want factor. So you've got to, I don't know, for me, if it's not even a crystal related thing, we were talking about this earlier, being around people that uplift you. I think that surrounding yourself with people that, at the end of the day, when you leave that group of people, do you feel uplifted or do you not? And so for me, just gauging that, I'm starting to make more decisions on my extracurricular activities, just because I want to be fed by the people that I'm around, and I want to inspire them as I would hope to be inspired. So that's one thing that I'm personally doing this year.
I think if we're talking crystals, the 5, the top crystals are 5 crystals I'm really working with right now is number 1, the black kyanite, which we discussed, cutting the cords. Selenite, which Timmy discussed, putting that in your bedroom. But I also like, if you're cutting the cords, to put that selenite over the area of the body that you want to feed that light back in. Okay, so I'm obsessed with amethyst right now. But if you look at what is the color of this 2018, it's that amethyst color. And when Timmy and I were in Tucson, amethyst is everywhere. Amethyst is amazing for protection. It's great for intuition. It's a reminder that you know what is the best for you. A 4th favorite that I am obsessed with right now is the golden healer, that yellow, that golden healer that has some striation of that rose quartz. It helps you really connect with your will. It helps you connect with your heart. It is amazing. And then at the end of the day, quartz crystal's always going to be in that top 5 protective energy field, because when we are clear, when we are in our power, we know what's right and what's wrong for us. We know what is ethically going to be our truth. And clarity is the biggest superpower you could have in 2018.
I love those.
Well, I've been working on just a few, but my favorites, I love blue lace agate, because for me this year, I loved what Heather said to our whole team here at Energy Muse. She said, you know what, I really want you guys to start working with just one crystal. And if you could take one crystal and work with it all year, what would your intention be? So mine was really about opening up my throat chakra and speaking my truth. And so blue lace agate has been something I've been wearing around my neck just since the first of the year. I love it. I always am having rose quartz on, because I love to have that unconditional love. And selenite, like I said, I wear that around my neck every single day, along with shungite, because of all the EMFs that are around us. I feel like shungite is a really great protector for those types of energies, just to keep me a little bit less toxic. And I also love pyrite. I love the energy of pyrite. It's almost like that reflective energy of, it reminds me to be abundant also, because it is that stone that's called fool's gold, not only just in money issues, but also just in life, that abundance can be something I can have.
Love those. Thank you, both of you. And what are you both most grateful for at this moment?
I would say for me, it would be health, and also my family. And I feel very fortunate that we have been able to do something that we are so passionate about, and also find your purpose. And so having this channel of Energy Muse and now our book Crystal Muse, it's been a whirlwind the last few months, but very grateful for everything that has come our way in the last couple years, actually.
Yeah, I think for me, I would have to say my family, and I don't even mean it just like my intimate family, but I feel like my family of the team here at Energy Muse, the community such as yourself, people that are into this wellness and crystals. I'm just so grateful for being able to do what I do on a daily basis and get to work with Mother Nature and Timmy, and just I'm just so I'm grateful to the energy of service and that whole unified frequency.
Oh. And my last question is, what shines your inner light to help others? What is it that...
What shines my inner light is kind of going back to what I just said, just being able to inspire someone, giving them a new tool, giving them hope, giving them faith that they can go on. And crystals are, again, as we said earlier, a touchstone. They're a tool that we get to use every single day on our journey. And so if we can share what's worked for us, which we've been doing this now for so long, if it even helps a few people and then they tell someone, it's like a dominoes effect. And I feel very thankful that makes me shine inside and out.
I feel it from you guys.
Yeah, I feel like kind of ditto what Timmy said. I feel like the more authentic and the more that we can help and be of service, just to help people feel like they don't need to be afraid and that they're empowered, and that everyone has a gift on this planet, no matter who you are, and for you just to reclaim that, because we all are healers, and more than ever, we're the people that we're waiting for, right? We all need to take some action right now.
Thank you, both of you, so much for being on the show and sharing everything today. I know some of the topics were quite deep as well. And just thank you just for both shining your light and helping as many people as possible.
Thank you for the opportunity. So grateful. Thank you.
Wow, what a great interview with the lovely ladies, Heather and Timmy from Energy Muse. Definitely check out their website because the information that they were sharing was just unbelievably powerful. Unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this quote. Nothing can dim the light that shines from within. That's a quote by Maya Angelou. For more information about the show or Energy Muse's details, visit www.gerdshandel.com. And remember, stay happy, stay healthy, stay lit.